What's going on?
Nada. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, good.
Turn my speakers up just a little bit. You want to wait for Atticus, or you want to just start and let him join whenever?
We can get through a few games, I'm sure. I don't even know what episode we're on, man.
36? Yeah, 36.
All right.
I think. Give me 1 second.
It's close.
Yeah, this will be 36.
Okay. So before we start, I'll apologize. The conversation we had, I may have been misspoken about Japan and China, or whoever I said, maybe Korea, using alternative medicines like ivermectin. However, I would like to point out that Merck is looking to get a fast track on emergency approval for a new drug, which happens to be very similar to the ivermectin that's being used in other countries. Problem is that it's off patent, so they're not going to make any money. So now they can make some money. It's like ivermectin number 2.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. I am all for any and all drugs that become available that do it. I'm just more I'm going to wait until people who I consider the experts to tell me it's okay. And I totally agree that yeah, there's always going to be a money trail, but no one's going to do anything for free. Gone are the day, whoever it was that was the guy that discovered insulin, maybe.
Yeah.
I forget what it was. One of the drugs, and he sold the patent for $1 or what. Yeah, that's never going to happen again. I totally understand where you're coming from on that. I'm just more of until they say yes, and I'm more interested in them finding more preventatives, not reactionary stuff.
So I don't know if they're going to find anything preventative. What we do know for a fact is the vaccine is, effective to prevent you from probably dying. Not guaranteed, right? Mm-hmm. But your chances, if you're vaccinated, you're still going to get it, but you might remain asymptomatic.
Older, yeah.
You might have a heavy cold. You're not going to be in the ICU intubated, right? We also know that there has been some value to some other alternatives, right? And we'll see what Merck came up with, right? But I find it funny that Pfizer had a $9 billion quarter, and they're slated for $33 billion.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I said, I hear you. Obviously, there's going to be a money trail anywhere, but I mean, I guess I always look at it this way, and then we can leave it at this. But my general overarching thing when it comes to things like the FDA and stuff like that is, I believe between a company like Pfizer, right, and the FDA, at least the FDA has a vested interest in keeping me alive and productive. Right? The FDA doesn't get, they might get a kickback, they might get something, but they have a vested interest in keeping me productive and upright, where Pfizer just needs to get approval so they can make all the money. They're going to make their money whether I happen to die from it or not, So that's why I tend to believe things like the FDA and clinical research trials and stuff like that more than anything else.
So you're gonna cut all this out, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you're saying. I just think that we can continue to go down rabbit holes because neither one of us are doctors, right? And I think we 100% agree on the vaccines being a preventative measure, right? Not to prevent. I don't even what.
When I say preventative, I mean more than you can get it now. And it can help you going forward as opposed to waiting for something to happen. And then so I understand that getting it doesn't prevent me from ever catching COVID or something like
Right.
that. Yeah, I just say preventative in the terms of like it's not something I have to wait to get COVID and be in the hospital to get.
So my point would be there's like monoclonal antibodies, right? That's another form of treatment for COVID that has positive results.
Right.
And the mass media, mainstream media, they do a disservice by not reporting factual evidence, right? Like we're not doctors. We can go down all kinds of rabbit holes and Googling this and Googling that, get all kinds of clinical trial information. You know, I just think we do a disservice if we don't talk about other alternatives. You know, we could scream from the heavens, go get vaccinated. There's still going to be a percentage of the population that just won't. And what happens when they do get sick, right? And if we're seeing that there's positive results with alternative options that aren't a vaccine in people that are unvaccinated that catch COVID, like we should probably be reporting on that as well, but we don't.
Well, the what you did, the mono whatever.
Monoclonal antibodies.
Yeah, that's one that DeSantis is pushing really hard. But again, my thing about that is it's a reactionary. It's you're already sick, you're already like,
yeah.
And I guess to me, my and I understand it's a different mindset and everything. I guess to me, I sit here and I look at it. Well, if you're willing to trust that, like like why not trust the vaccine? I don't understand the disconnect between like trusting environment. I don't pronounce any of these things correctly.
I don't understand Florida. Let's just be honest about that. Right?
It's like sunshine, man. We got too much of it.
Like I don't understand Florida. Like 1 in 5 deaths from COVID in all the United States is happening in Florida.
Yeah.
And I think the past 2 weeks it's actually closer to 1 in 4. Like, right. What are you guys doing?
We're not doing anything, and that's no, dude. Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest with you, like I don't know, like how I haven't caught it yet. Not because I've been particularly careless, but like my roommate, who I've been living with, up until like I've been spending more time with Liesel since she's been down here, obviously. But like my roommate in at where I live now, he's a waiter. His girlfriend's a waitress. So they come in contact with Lord knows how many people a day. Like there's no way, like I know bartenders at their restaurant have gotten it. Like people that have come over to our place have then like gotten it within like a month, so it's like, and we haven't had any big parties. Like he had one friend that came over because my roommate and his friend are like really big Ohio State fans.
Right.
So like during the national championship game, it was like me, my roommate, this other guy, and like his wife, and that was it. And they had like they ended up catching it like literally like 2 weeks later. They had it, and so it's just like, Jesus, man, like how, like I don't know how I've managed to miss it. So either I'm asymptomatic, but I've also gotten the booster by now. So
do you wear a mask?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wear a mask. I social distance as well as I can. The only time I don't wear a mask, like out in public, is when I go to work. But that's just good. It's a small 4-person office. We're all kind of distanced within, and everyone's got at least 2 of us have the 3rd dose, and everyone's been fully vaccinated. So it's kind of one of those things.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah,
Mac, go get the food. Bring it up. No, dude, I'm in the middle of something.
What'd you get?
I got some wings.
Ooh.
I got to.
I haven't had wings in so long.
Trying to eat keto or extremely low carbs. It's easier to count under 50 carbs than it is to eat keto. Let me just throw that out there.
Have you ever heard of the paleo diet?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the easiest one I've ever tried that I've stuck to. But my main one is if I just cut out, because I work out, like, because I have to.
Yeah.
Like, to keep my triglycerides down. So I go running, like not Chad. Apparently Chad, I don't know if you knew this, but apparently Chad is like, dude runs like a marathon before work every day or some shit. Like dude goes nuts.
Yeah.
But so I'm not like that. I run like maybe somewhere between 2 and 2.5 miles a day. But hold on. Sorry. Lisa, we're gonna get Chinese food and Pine Garden Chinese cuisine. She's been sending me links because we haven't had Chinese food on this side of town, so we like, although I'm pretty convinced all takeout Chinese is the same.
It just about.
Ooh, shrimp, chicken, and pork fried rice.
So let's give me 1 second. I gotta go get this food.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
Well, you need to come with me to get it. All right, Matt.
Where'd you get your wings from?
All right.
Where'd you get your wings from?
A place called Just Wings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, enough of that. I feel like I shouldn't be eating while we do this, but it's a Friday night.
Yeah, it is Friday night. Gotta live a little.
Atticus will join us shortly. And let's talk some football.
Let's do it. You want to start? You want to recap that actually surprisingly entertaining game from last night?
Told you.
So anyway, Bengals did win, although they led for exactly half a second of the entire game. Yeah. But they did have more points on that scoreboard when it was over. I will say after that game, I feel bad because I was kind of worried like they were going to blow out the Jaguars and then just kind of gain a little momentum. I think having to play the Jaguars that close makes me feel better when the Browns eventually play them, which I will probably be at the game in Cincinnati when the Browns play them. So I'll be live and in person for that one. But I think Higgins being out affects that team more than I think people would say on the surface.
Yeah.
I will say Trevor Lawrence finally started to look good, and I think they're kind of running. Hey, what's going on, buddy? I think they're starting to run the offense that Atticus wants to see. Wants to see them run over New York. A lot of RPO type stuff. Seemed to get him going. He looked pretty good. He finally is starting to kind of look as like the number one pick in the draft. Although I don't necessarily know what that means, but I will say this: he looked good, and I think, I still don't know about Urban Meyer as a coach in the NFL. I think it's a completely different game than college, and I think we see that time and time again. But if he can get with a good, the right head coach. I mean, we saw what Stefanski did for Baker Mayfield, a coach that can put him in the best position to win. He's got a lot of traits I think are going to serve him well going forward.
I agree, right? And I think that through 4 games, even though he's 0-4. And fun fact, he's lost 4 games his entire playing football career prior to the NFL. So That's awesome. I mean, Aikman had a lot of praise, and I'm not necessarily a fan of Aikman as an announcer. I am a fan of his football acumen, right? So when he's analyzing a quarterback, you kind of have to listen. And Aikman was 1-11 as a starter his rookie season. Turned out okay, right? So
Yeah.
when he starts saying that, okay, I kind of like what this kid's doing. I kind of like, it looks like he's picking it up. I think there was a part where, he scrambled and wound up just throwing it away instead of trying to fit it in there somewhere. And he's like, so that was, and I think Aikman's, verbatim was like, that's growth from last week. Because last week he would have tried to sneak it in there and get intercepted, right? So like he's learning and he's catching up to the game. And we know the kid has talent, right? Like the fear with the number one draft pick, especially quarterback for a team like Jags, in my mind is, are you going to get Ryan Leaf, who's a hothead, right?
Right.
And can't overcome adversity, or are you going to get Troy Aikman, who's going to go 1-11 as a rookie and winds up winning 3 Super Bowls? So it was good to see him play well. Cincinnati should have won that game. Their defense looked tired in the first half. I don't know if they did a lot of cocaine at halftime or whatever, but they came out a little bit fired up. But it was an entertaining game, for a Thursday night. So it might wind up being one of the better ones we see this season.
Well, it's funny. I was kind of thinking about our conversation on that. Well, I'll get to that in a minute, but when we wrap up the Thursday night talk. But going back to what one of the comments Aikman made, and I totally agree with it, is, he said he had talked to Trevor Lawrence. And one of the things Trevor Lawrence said, he's like, in college, you have receivers that can just, but you're playing with a senior receiver who's playing a freshman who's not even really on the same athletic level. So you can just run around and get away with stuff and then fling the ball and they call you great for it. Here in the NFL, that doesn't happen. And that kind of leads back into what you were saying. But Aikman said they had that conversation. So you see the wheels turning. I guess my question to you is, do you think Trevor Lawrence is the prototype for quarterbacks going forward that accurate? Because it used to be one or the other, right? Like we've gone from either you have a Tom Brady in the pocket, high accuracy, quick release, that kind of thing. And then you had your slasher, Cordell Stewart from Pittsburgh back in the day, where he was an okay, he had an okay arm, okay quarterback, but he was kind of more known as the runner, right? And then we've kind of moved, you had Vic, who was Vic had an arm, good quarterback, but I still think he was probably more well known for his running than anything. But now I think we've kind of gotten to a point where there's Trevor Lawrence, who I think is going to be ultimately known for his, QB, his football IQ and his accuracy, as well as his legs. So is he the prototype you look for going forward?
I think the prototype was probably already there. If you look at even Baker, right? Baker can scramble when he needs to. Daniel Jones, as much as it hurts me to say it, if he's on a different team, we're having a different kind of conversation about Daniel Jones. He can run the ball. Patrick Mahomes, great arm, phenomenal arm. He can also run the ball. I'm not going to say Jalen Hurts because the jury's still out on him, but he is that type of player. Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, so yeah, you need athletic quarterbacks that can run the ball, and get you those yards. I mean, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the most athletic, but he always was able to scramble for a 10, 15-yard jaunt. Russell Wilson, another one that could do it as well. So, we've seen this evolution of quarterback. I don't think there's always going to be value of Joe Burrow, though. Joe Burrow's not a runner, but he can move around in the pocket well enough. He's more athletic than, say, Eli Manning, right? Or Peyton, for that matter, but is he more in line with a Matt Stafford? Stafford can run the ball, but he's more of a pocket passer. Let me move around in this movable bubble, and find the holes in the pocket that I can, make some passes. But, to answer your question, I think we're already there, but we're going to see more.
So before I kind of move on, do you have any other icing on the cake you want to put on Thursday? I think we both agree it was more entertaining than the previous, than last week anyway. I don't know ultimately if this game is going to mean a whole lot. I don't know if what this game really tells us about anyone other than Trevor Lawrence is obviously learning. The Jags, I think they're going to get more feisty as the year goes on. They're still not a great team. They're obviously not a complete team, but they're going to be more feisty. But, ultimately the Bengals won. They should have won. It might be surprising the way that they had to win, but maybe the Bengals aren't exactly who we thought they were before last night. But it's kind of hard to find a lot of takeaways from this game because nothing truly bizarre happened, except maybe I think the Jaguars ran for 100 yards in like the first quarter or the first half, something like that. The Jaguars. Did I say the Jaguars? Yeah, they ran for like 100 yards and a touchdown. Their running back put up 100 yards and a touchdown. So
did Mixon get hurt?
What?
Did Mixon get hurt though? Is he coming back? What's the report on Mixon?
I don't know. I didn't look that up. Dude, we're free flowing. I don't pre-research this stuff. As we're talking, I'm looking up what the games are so we can figure out what ones to talk about.
Well, I have nothing further. I mean, it's the Bengals and the Jaguars.
I mean, it would have been nice if Chase could have gotten my fantasy football team a touchdown, but I'll take the 13 points I got from him. Anyway. Oh, just in time for Mr. Davis to join us here.
Good evening.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We just finished talking about the Bengals. We were just wrapping up the Bengals.
Wait, the Kings of the North.
Whoa, but let's settle down on the Kings of the North. Winning in a last-second field goal over the Jaguars at home.
Is it true or not true that they are the current Kings of the North?
The week's not over yet. I mean, I guess technically.
Oh God.
Let me make a bold prediction, Chris. They will be the Kings of the North after the other games are played this weekend.
Well, technically they will be because they're the only team that's played another team in the division and won. So yes, no matter what happens this weekend, they still technically will be ranked first because they have the best in-division ranking. But they are not the Kings of the North.
Okay.
Done.
Whatever makes you feel better, buddy.
Yeah. That is. Are you wearing that hoodie? Ironically.
Oh, he's already got his Knicks gear out.
0-3, baby.
So it took us. If you're not familiar with the podcast, we talk a lot of Knicks shit here, or at least we did, right? And the running joke was going to be, how long does it take to bring the Knicks gear out? And we didn't even get through week 4, and we're there. We're there.
It's actually, to be honest with you, was really coincidental that I have this on today.
Okay. It's real coincidental. I have a Cleveland football T-shirt on. That's wasn't planned or anything. So I kind of want to pivot one thing. So every week so far, the matchups haven't been, like Lloyd and I were saying, last night's game was fun to watch, but beforehand, unless you're a football diehard, you don't really have a lot of like, oh sweet, I'm going to stay up and watch, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, right?
At all. So
I was kind of scribbling down some ideas on how to make Thursday night football just more entertaining if we're going to get those types of matchups. So I'm just going to kick it off with so I was just wondering if you guys had any ideas on the ways to make Thursday night football more enjoyable. One of the things I said is each team has to put in at least one trick play a quarter. I feel like that might spice things up a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, like what are some other, what would get you excited about a Thursday night matchup regardless of what it is?
Well, I think that the initial draw wasn't there for the Thursday night matchup, but each Thursday night game, even the game that started the season this year, were competitive. I mean, the last 2 games were decided on a last second field goal kick. And then the first game, I thought that Dallas and in Tampa Bay, that was a pretty entertaining game to watch. So I don't know. I mean, we can spice it up by adding another nuance to it, but I don't know that the game itself leaves you at a place where you're like, yo, what was that last night? You know?
Well, see, I think part of it, they need to start treating it like they treat Monday night. Like they, instead of just saying, okay, every team is going to play on Thursday, they need, although they need to start coming up. But then again, I mean, we've kind of talked about it before. It's hard because, hey, congratulations on being a good team in week 13. Your reward, you get to go to wherever and play a team on 2 days rest on Thursday. Like, so I get that it's harder, but I don't know. I kind of liked when the Thursday game was the lead up game. So like the first game of the season was always on a Thursday night, and then the Thanksgiving games. Like,
Right.
Like if
It's a staple now.
yeah, and if it's gonna give us something like Bengals, Jaguars, or who was it last week? Panthers, Texans. Like we need it just for the sake of having Thursday night football. I mean,
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that these games are going to be good.
right.
I think that was probably the worst game, the Panthers Texans game that was aired for a Thursday night. Like it was tough to sit through. In fact, I don't think I watched more than 2 full quarters of that game. Once McCaffrey went down, it was like,
Yeah.
what are we going to watch? Davis Mills. It just wasn't entertaining. So
So I think there's a couple things they could do. Like maybe they should do an entire quarter just like overtime in college football, where they both teams started at 25 each possession, and just see how many fucking points they could put on the board, right?
Fantasy players would be pulling their hair out.
It would be phenomenal. It would be
they
phenomenal.
really should have had the Manning brothers doing their simulcast on Thursday night games as
Instead
opposed
of-
to Monday night games.
That would be much better.
Mhm.
I think that, for like, when do bye weeks start?
I think week 4, right?
I don't think you need
No,
to be a
not
rocket
before.
scientist to figure out Thursday games should be the week after your bye, right? And maybe start them earlier. Like it shouldn't be that difficult. Where instead of having a 3-day turnaround, both teams get a little bit of rest, or they get the bye. Like there's got to be some way to figure this out.
That's a good idea, Mike.
I did it on paper before and it worked out. I just forget what it was, but it shouldn't be that difficult to figure out. So,
Well, maybe you drop the idea that every team has to play on Thursday, and just based on last year's records, come up with some marquee matchups, right? And then just make sure those teams have their bye weeks.
Well, they try to do that for Mondays, though.
Right, but Mondays they can like flex because there's not really a they can flex them a little bit, where, oh, you guys are doing good, it's late in the season, okay, you guys are now the Monday night game or the Sunday night game. Where Thursday nights they could do it like at least ahead of time, look at or at least at the very least make them like intriguing divisional games, right? Like Browns Steelers, regardless of who's good and who's not, should be a Thursday night game, like, week 7 after both teams are coming off the bye. I'm sure, Eagles, Cowboys, or, Giants, Redskins, or I'm sorry, Giants team from Washington should be would be, interdivision games that way. And I feel like that helps, keep it balanced too, because, that way it's 2 teams in the division that are getting that extra thing, and not because division games count more. So I think that's the way you got to balance it. So that way we're not stuck with these games where, sure, we'll watch them because it's football, but I want to get more out of it than that.
I don't think they hyped this game. I think they missed an opportunity to really hype the game. Like they didn't dig deep enough with the Burrow Lawrence connection
At all.
and it's, they had an opportunity there. Even the Urban Meyer Burrow connection, which I forgot about until the telecast. So why was that?
I forgot about that. So you just said something.
Why wasn't that, something that was a lead in to hype it up this game a little bit,
No, because they still want to hype up Brady versus Belichick as if it's really Brady versus Belichick, because it's not.
It's not, and New England's going to get thumped.
Yes, they are.
That's all there is to it.
So do we just want to go ahead and jump into the games? We'll bring up that one since you guys already kind of mentioned it, since that probably is whether
Do we
the
need
quality
to
of the
discuss
game.
that one?
What'd you say?
Do we need to discuss that one?
I mean, I think it's one of the more like marquee matchups for, albeit maybe not for strictly football reasons, but it's definitely one of the more marquee matchups of the weekend.
It's not even going to be competitive. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, it's the Sunday night game. It's the Sunday night game. So
It's a snoozer.
Only because it's Brady Belichick and they're hyping it up, and there's really no reason to. Do we
Yeah,
really think
so-
Mac Jones is going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
yeah, no amount of I don't care how smart we think Belichick is. That being said, you want to take any guesses to what the line is? Have you looked at the line?
No.
Okay, Pats are at home. What do you think the line is?
8.5.
Not quite that bad. Bucks are favored by 6.5. Over under is 48.5. I would say the Buccaneers cover just because Brady's the type of guy. I'm sure Brady he's got this game circled, and like
Brady's going to put up 45 on spite.
like remember
That's
that
be a spiteful person.
Remember when the Patriots were going undefeated until the Super Bowl, and they kind of had that FU touchdown every game where the game would be completely out of reach, but they would still they'd be flinging 40-yard bombs on with 2 minutes left in the fourth just to get that extra touchdown. Yeah, this game has that written all over it. I expect to see some sort of 30-yard out to Mike Evans, to beat the clock, to add up points at the end. So yeah, I'm going to say Buccaneers obviously are going to win outright. They're going to cover just because Brady will rush for 5 touchdowns if he has to make them over. And because of that, I'm going to say it's the over because I see the Buccaneers scoring 40 at least. So yeah, that's where we're going with that. You guys have any differing opinions or any other interesting takes on Brady doing something?
So what are we talking about? How bad Brady's going to beat the other team, or because it's not even a competitive game?
Right. Right. I just hope Evans gets some touchdowns because he's on my other fantasy team. That's really
He's
all.
not getting any love right now. So
Yeah. He's had a couple good games.
a couple, but not last week.
Yeah. Well, the week before though, he had 2 touchdowns, the week before he had 2 touchdowns. So, but then the week before that, he didn't do it for a top receiver. And I know we're kind of getting off track here, but for a top receiver, or at least what's considered a top receiver, Evans is the most hit or miss guy in the NFL. He either gets 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, or he gets 2 catches for 15 yards, and that's it. There's no in between with him. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and jump from the Sunday night game of the week to Monday night, which actually should be a good game. You have the undefeated Las Vegas Raiders visiting the fresh off the Arrowhead thumping they gave the Chiefs Chargers in Los Angeles. Chargers are favorite at home by 3.5. Over under is 52.5. Loy, you've been kind of quiet. What do you got on this game? You're also kind of muted.
I didn't want to be eating chicken wings and snapping my gums while we're recording. So
No, you wanted to eat them, but not let us hear it.
correct. You can see it all day long. This game should be good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's all I really know. Derek Carr is for all the chatter of the Raiders possibly going out and get Deshaun Watson and this, that, and the other thing, or looking to get another quarterback in there. Derek Carr is leading the league right now in passing yards. He has a stable of receivers he can throw to. They got a deep threat. They have a decent running game. Their defense
And their
is
tight end is
pretty insane. Waller, the tight end. Yeah. And then they have Brian Edwards, Hunter Renfro. They got Ruggs, speed on the outside. I don't know if Josh Jacobs is back this week or not, but they have somebody else in the backfield.
Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake carrying the ball.
And they're well coached.
And for whatever, finally Gruden's coming out, right?
Yeah.
And their defense, that dude, oops. What the what's his name? I want to say Crosby or their defensive end is a beast. He's a monster
Yeah.
out of nowhere. So that being said, the Chargers, I mean, they handed Kansas City their ass in Kansas City. I really like that kid, Herbert. I just do. I like his demeanor. He's it just reminds me of that character from the program. Put the children and wives to bed, boys. Let's go get dinner, right? Like, let's just go out there and get this done. And 4th and 5, 1st and 10 doesn't matter. Let's go get it done. And he's got the confidence in his receivers that he's going to put the ball where it needs to be, and they're going to catch it. So we should see I hope we don't see a defensive game. I really don't.
Vegas isn't giving lines like they think it's going to be.
No, they're not, which is sketchy, right? Because Vegas knows what they're doing. Because both defenses can ball. Both of them can ball hard. Like, what's the dude in the secondary? What's his name on the Chargers? God damn it. You're going to make me forget.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have Bosa up front, so there's that. And I forget the guy's name at the secondary, but he's no slouch. I want to pull up the depth chart right now. I think the Chargers can win this game.
Oh, Asante Samuel Jr.
That's not even who I was talking about. Derwin James is who I was talking about. Strong safety. So, I mean, they can ball. I think at home you got to give it to the Chargers. I think that the Chargers. That's a good Monday Night Football game. Looks like Mike's staying up late again, even though he can't. That's a really tight line for the Chargers. I'll take the over in the Chargers.
You said you're taking the Chargers to cover?
Yeah. And the over.
Yeah, I mean, I think this line really shows that Vegas is starting to respect the Raiders. If you would have told me, the Raiders were going to go into SoFi and only be, favored by, only be giving or getting just over a field goal. That's crazy. I mean, they're saying the Chargers are like this much better than them. I like that line. I think it's going to go over the over under. I see a shootout in this game. Both teams just have the ability to. They both can do it well. They both have the running game to where they can grind it, and they both have the quick strike capability with their receivers. I will say this: out of all the quarterbacks, so I think Baker Mayfield fits the Browns, right? Like when I think Cleveland, Baker Mayfield feels like he should be on Cleveland. I could say the exact same thing about Herbert on the Chargers. He just feels like a kid that should be playing for a team that's got powder blue uniforms in LA. That just seems like a good fit to me. I agree with Mike. I think the Chargers cover. I think it's going to be a late cover, though. I think it'll be pretty close. But yeah, they're going to win by, they'll win by 4 or 5. I mean, it's going to be less than a touchdown. But I see it being a late go-ahead score that kind of seals it. And I'll take the over just because this game's kind of got that written on it. What do you think, Atticus?
I think you could point to a number of different reasons why either team would win, and you'd be right with whatever you'd pick. When you look at these two teams, you got the number 1 rated offense in the Raiders. They got the best passing game in the league. The number 4 passing quarterback in the league in Justin Herbert with the 11th rated offense, but their defense are pretty evenly matched up. I want to give the nod to the Raiders, but I see the trajectory of the Chargers going in the right direction at the right time. And like Mike said, I'm a big Herbert fan. You know, I'm glad he's not in my division, unless he was a Giant. So I'm gonna give the nod to the Chargers only because I guess because they're at home, and that's why they're gonna and they're coming off this big high of beating the Chiefs. I mean, how can you not be feeling yourself after you beat the 2021 Chiefs? So I'm gonna go with the Chargers on this one.
So from there, we're going to use a Deshaun Watson connection and kick it over to the Chiefs at Philadelphia. So apparently the rumor mill says something's been greenlit, and I forget if it was the Chiefs or the Eagles saying that they will in fact try and trade for Deshaun, or if the Texans said, yeah, we're willing to trade it, and the Eagles are the head honchos. But I read something today on my lunch break. I was scrolling through stuff and I saw that. So they used the Deshaun talking point just to bring it over to this game. You got Kansas, surprising 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs at a 1-2 Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see, the Eagles are touchdown dog, 6.5 point dogs. Over under is 54.5, which I think sounds high to me. That being said, do you guys think there's a blueprint to beating the Chiefs now that's happened twice in a row? Or do you think there's just been a couple bad? I mean, like I said, we've seen 3 teams now, and I was saying it last week that the Chiefs are basically a muffed punt away from being 0-3 right now. Do you guys see any hope for the Eagles in this game, or is this the game that Kansas City gets it back on track? What say you, Atticus?
I think the Chiefs are going to get back on track this week. I think Andy Reid is coming to town. He's bringing his quarterback, his shiny toys, and a game plan that's going to work out well. I know what I do think, though, is the Eagles are going to play them tough. They're going to keep it close, similarly to the way that it went when San Francisco came to town. But I think that there are too many proven commodities on the Kansas City side of the bowl for them to lose it. Plus, they're not going to slide to one, and I just don't see it. This is a game that they're supposed to win, and I think they're going to win this game. Not because of lack of effort from the Eagles. They're going to make it tough.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and agree. I think the Chiefs are just going to come into this game mad. I think you're going to see Tyreek Hill go off. He's been kind of quiet the last couple games. You got Andy Reid, who had the hospital issues. So I think they're going to rally around that, him coming back to Philadelphia. I just think there's going to be a little too much for the Eagles in this game. Especially kind of they looked a little lost against the Cowboys. And if they look half as lost against the Chiefs, it's not going to be pretty. So no disrespect to your boys, Lloyd, but I think the Chiefs cover. I'll take the under on points. I don't see it getting to 55 points, but I do think the Chiefs cover. So let's go to Lloyd, get his thoughts on the game, and possibly seeing Deshaun Watson over there in Philadelphia.
I think that's media hyperbole also.
He's not coming to Philly. So if he were to ever, if this happens, like, the Philadelphia Eagles better have some assurances from the league, like the dude can play football, right? And unless you've heard something that I'm unaware of, like, no one knows that right now.
Right.
No one knows. Now, I know the NFL's got their own super private eyes. They do all their own internal shit, right? Like, they have access to probably the videotapes of the massages actually happening, so, maybe they do know more than we do, but, like, I just don't buy it, right? Like, unless they're, Howie's able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and say, I'll give you 4th or 3rd round draft picks for the next 4 years for Deshaun Watson and Jalen Hurts. Like, I don't see this happening. They can't let go of any one of their 1st round draft picks. They just can't. There's no need to. Way too early to determine what Jalen Hurts is all about, right? I see him having a better game. I see him calming down a little bit. You know, I like that pivot there, by the way. I had to mention that. You know, I like the fact that LaShawn McCoy, even though I don't like him as a person, is retiring as an Eagle. Like as a football player, he did a lot in Philly, right? He's a dick, but you know, I don't have any physical evidence personally that he's a dick. I just hear that he doesn't like to tip and he likes to throw women off buses on the side of the Garden State Parkway. You know, it's kind of dicky moves. But he is retiring an Eagle. Happens to be when they're playing Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think there's a lot of emotion going on outside of football in this game that I think bodes well for the Eagles versus bodes well for Kansas City. I'm going to be a little bit of a homer because and it's the gambler in me a little bit, because who would bet that the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes, would lose 3 games in a row? Because they haven't.
Almost
Right?
4.
Almost 4. So I think this is it. I think that, you know, there's a little bit of a changing of a guard. You know, not every team can do what New England did for 20 years. And you see that stat last night. Tom Brady had 17 AFC East championships. 17. That's insane. Sorry, I got sidetracked for a minute. But most teams don't do that. Like there comes an end, right? And if there was ever going to be an end, not to say that they can't come out of the hole and make the playoffs as a wild card, but if they go 1-3, they're not winning the division, right? If they start 1-3, they're not going to win the division.
I don't think they're going to win their division anyway.
So there's that. So I think I'm going to get crazy, and I'm going to say we see a completely different Philadelphia team. I don't believe Kansas City's defense is that tough. I think it's an over, and I think Philly minimum covers. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they win the ball game outright. Yep, they win. They win outright, and with a healthy dose of running from Miles Sanders
You better.
to make
You
up for
better
last
run
week.
that ball.
Well, you know,
With
for
3 carries, right? Was it 3? 2 for him and 1 for who?
Gainwell. 9 for Hurts.
You ain't winning nothing doing that.
Nah.
you know, for as much as you say the Cowboys, they're like 26-0 when Zeke runs the ball. I forgot the exact number, like 22 times or whatever it is. The Eagles have a similar thing where if they run the ball 20 plus times, they have some crazy good record, like 17-2 or something like that. So
Yep.
yeah, so yeah, if the Eagles are, and I don't see a reason not, like if I'm the Eagles with, that has to be the game plan. Keep Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce can't score if they're sitting on the sidelines watching you rack up first downs. So yeah, unleash Miles Sanders and we'll see what happens. Speaking of crazy fans and their homerism, the New York Giants are visiting the New Orleans Saints this weekend. And Atticus, your rant was so beautiful last week that I just have to get your take on this game. It's going to be the first game this season in New Orleans. After the hurricane. Last time there was a hurricane that bad that sent the Saints on the road for a couple games. The first game back, I don't even remember who they played, but they shellacked the crap out of them. I just remember like that team, and it was like a decent team too. It was like, maybe it was the Colts, something like that.
You mean the Drew Brees led Saints, right?
Yeah, the Drew Brees led Saints. I mean, I get it. But I'm just saying, last time something like this happened, they shellacked them. The Saints are they're 7.5 point favorites at home. Over under is 41.5, which is a little bit low for a that big of a gap. Until otherwise, I just think if this game was at New York, I'd give the Giants better chance. I just don't see him going in there unless Jameis goes full Jameis. So we've seen 3 different Jameses so far this year. We've seen, holy crap, who's this guy, Jameis? We've seen, there's Jameis. And then we've seen Jameis only throw for 128 yards with no picks and still win. So that's where the Saints have been. It's going to be kind of a little bit of gets up. I don't think the Saints lose their first game back after the hurricane. I don't think they'll cover, but I do see the Saints winning this one. What do you got, Lloyd? And then we'll let Atticus have his turn.
I think that the New Orleans Saints are probably the team that just beat the New England Patriots, right? I think Jameis Winston is probably somewhere in between. I think we're going to see some, high fantasy type football games out of him. And I think we're going to see some quality managed games out of him. It's just, I don't think that the New York Giants are a better football team than New England Patriots. They're certainly not better coached, right? So I just don't see how the Giants can even win this game. I just don't, and it's one of those games where if they're going to win a game this year, it would be this game. I just don't see it being this game. It's just, they're in trouble. Right. And like, it would be really nice to win this game. And, not for nothing, but like in 3 games, your leading receiver is Kenny Galladay, and his stat line reads like it should for a game. Right. So like, that's a problem. 11 for 166 should be a game, but it's his 3-game stats. We're going to find out who exactly your first round draft choice is, now that he's off the snide and into positive yardage, he's going to have to play some ball because Sterling Shepard, to my knowledge, is out.
And Darius Slayton.
Yeah. So, you're starting to see those weapons, those pieces that you guys put together so nicely in the offseason, they're starting to go away. And that doesn't bode well for Daniel Jones, because the one part they forgot to piece together was improving that offensive line, in my opinion. I think that's always been the Achilles heel for the Giants for the past 5 or 6 years. Continues to be. And if we know one thing about the New Orleans Saints is they might not have a top defense, but they can get after it, right? So I see Daniel Jones running around a lot. He'll probably have a few yards on the ground. He might even get a touchdown in there. But unless they completely switch gears and give the ball to Saquon 25 times, I don't think they have a chance. It's my take.
I'm going to go in a completely different direction. This is the game. There's a couple of games that the Giants could win. This is one of those games, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people and actually beat this game. The New Orleans Saints offense is ranked second to last in the NFL. Their passing game is second to last in the NFL, but their defense is ranked 6th. So defensively, they're playing well. But you ask yourself, are those artificial numbers? Are they real numbers? How good is their defense really? They thumped the Green Bay Packers week 1, 38-3. I mean, they thrashed them. Was that real? Was that who their identity could truly be based off of, that game? Because we've seen what Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers really look like, and it's not that. Then they lost to the Carolina Panthers, who are a decent team, but they're not that. They lost to them. I think it was 27-3 or 27-6 or something like that, that the New Orleans Saints lost to them. Granted, we're not in their home stadium. There was a lot of changes going on. They're like in flux with their season or whatever the case may be. And then week 3, they played the the I don't even know what to say about the New England Patriots right now. I think that I understand why Hazen jumped ship, I guess, and is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan now. But this is the game, even with missing a couple of pieces, that I think the Giants are going to find a way to win. They got the 20th ranked offense, 20th ranked defense. They're 19th in passing. Even with Saquon not having his best year, and they're going to feed him the ball. He had 22 touches last game, which is a almost double a jump from how many touches he had the prior game. So they're getting him back into the swing of things. And I think it's real comfortable to say the Giants offensive line is their Achilles heel. The Giants offensive line has been playing very well this year, even after losing two of their linemen. That's not the problem at this point. If you want to point to a problem that the Giants have had, it's been their defense. That's been the problem. Now, Jameis Winston is the quarterback, just like I think the Vikings were Eli Manning's kryptonite, where you can guarantee he's going to throw 4 picks whenever he plays the Minnesota Vikings. The New York Giants, Jameis Winston historically will throw minimum 2 picks against. I don't know why. He just does that. Maybe he likes the uniforms. So if I'm going to go out on a limb on a game, and this is not me wearing blue colored glasses, this is the one that the Giants are going to steal. And you know what's going to make it better? 2 things. You know, the last time the Giants beat a game against the Saints in New Orleans? Can one of you guess?
2007.
Nope. What say you, Mike, with you, when you're off mute?
They actually beat the Saints?
When's the last time they beat the Saints in New Orleans?
2009.
Try this. Carl Banks was still playing. 1993 was the last time they beat New Orleans in New Orleans. You just talked about 17 AFC East championships.
Yep.
That shit ends sometime. Yeah. This is no longer the Drew Brees led Saints. Their offensive production shows it. 31st in the league. The Jaguars are the only worst team. I think that this is the week that the Giants steal one.
Is this
now they're still going to go 1-10. They're going to go 1-10. This is the one of the 1-10.
Well, they're not going to win another game before they play the Eagles after this. They're just not. So they have to, not that they have to win anything, but
I think this game is going to show you something. We'll see.
Is this the first game back in the Dome?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That don't mean nothing for Jameis Winston. Are you kidding me?
But it means something in New Orleans.
We'll see.
A lot of players in that team been there for a while.
I'm comfortable being wrong. I've been wrong a lot over the last several years, but I think I'm gonna be right this time.
If I'm a betting man, I think we're both wrong on the me on the Eagle game, you on this game. I think we're both wrong, but we'll see.
I think you're going to see a little from Jameis Winston. Is what I think we'll see. So we're gonna finish up with just a week of homecomings this year, or this week rather. The Stefanski-led Browns goes into Minnesota, where coached, up through the ranks for 14 years. This is actually one of the tighter games, at least projected this week. They are saying the Browns are favored by 2.5 at Minnesota. 51.5 seems a little high on the points to me. I'll let you guys do it, and then as Brand fans, I'll round it off. So once again, Cleveland at Minnesota. What do you got, Loy?
Again, this should be one of those games where when you look at it, it should be a Cleveland win, right? But something is just telling me that that's not the case this week. Something is telling me that Minnesota wins this game for the 2-point, because it's Vegas. Vegas knows what they're doing, right? And the 2-point spread is just a shitty spread, right? And I'm taking the under and the Vikings, right? And I don't really know why, other than I don't think the Vikings are playing that bad. I don't think that they
It's their defense. Their defense has been lacking. It's not their offense.
where are they ranked right now for defense?
27th.
That's bad. Where's
Cleveland is ranked third.
defense? They're
Defense.
playing very well on
Yeah.
defense. But it's in the dome, it's in Minnesota. It's just one of those things where
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins goes Kirk
you
Cousins.
like that moment. You like that.
he's good for one of those a season.
Yeah.
Maybe two. This is probably the one, right?
Mm.
I see a close ball game. I'd rather see Cleveland win outright. I just don't, for whatever reason, I think Minnesota's winning this week. I don't know why. I got
think
nothing to
this is-
back it up.
Hmm.
Nothing.
I think this is going to be a tough one too. I really do. But Cleveland's defense is just too much right now. I think it's going to be a lower. What was the points that they were projecting?
50, hold on,
I don't know if it's going to be that high.
51.5.
I don't know if it's going to be that high. Like, I don't see Cleveland blowing the backs out of the Vikings, but Cleveland is going to win this game. I believe that their running game is just way too good against a 27th ranked defense. They're going to stay on the field they're going to control the time of possession. Kirk Cousins is going to be forced to try to air the ball out to get their team back in the game. And he's not a bad quarterback to do that. I mean, they still got Thielen, right? Thielen is still one of the league's best receivers, and he finds ways to get open when you're like, how is he open when everybody knows he's going to throw it to this guy? But he's just good like that. But I just think when you look at all of the additions that Cleveland has made to their defense, I mean, they were already good, and they got better this offseason, and their ranking shows it. I think their offense, with as many weapons as they have in the running game they often look a little pedestrian, but it don't matter because they got a good defense where as long as you can, and not for nothing, Baker Mayfield, he's a decent game manager. That's all he needs to be. He don't have to be a fucking Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes. He don't have to be shit, what's the kid's name in Lamar Jackson? He don't have to save the day with a 4th and 17 play because his running game is going to keep them on the field, the ball out of the Vikings' hand, and them scoring more points than Minnesota. And that's my take. I'm taking Cleveland.
So, like I said last podcast, when Cleveland lost in Kansas City, I looked at the next several games, and this is the next litmus test game I kind of had circled. It's at Minnesota. And honestly, if there's another team out there, I would say, at least on offense, is built similar to Cleveland, it's Minnesota. Heavy run game, got a couple playmakers on the outside. Quarterback, you'd say, is okay. He's not a world beater, but he's not horrible. I see a lot of mirror images there. Now, there are a couple things. Dalvin Cook is questionable. That can be a thing. And I think I think Stefanski is the bigger, or is the better head coach. I think Cleveland's really hot right now. The only thing that makes me nervous is the Cleveland defense. For everything they've done, they have not caused a lot of turnovers. I think if there's a week to start it, this would be the week to do it. Kirk Cousins is the type of quarterback that can get pressured into throwing bad passes and getting picked off. And I think if the Browns, you start seeing a couple interceptions, I think that that's going to really change the dynamics. In a little bit of a homer pick, I am going to say the Browns for a lot of the same reasons Atticus said. the Vikings defense, that's where the teams differ. The Vikings, I just don't think have a defense to stop Chubb and Hunt. I just think they're too much. I mean, especially after last week, you saw Hunt really, gain momentum there in that game. He was running angry. I think we see more of that because, I think you're going to see I think Hunt's going to be the key to this game because he's kind of filling in that void in the reception department that is kind of, been taken by Jarvis Landry. I just think he's going to be the key to the game. And I think it's going to be close. It's going to be tight. The Browns will win by a field goal, but I do think the Browns go into Minnesota and win this game by a field goal. Definitely take the under though, because even though the Browns offense, when it wants to be, can be described as explosive, we've seen it a couple times over the last year and a half. Typically, they tend to be conservative because they're a run-based offense. So they'll get their points, but those points are going to be in the 20s. I don't see this game going under. I think it's going to be like a heavyweight fight, especially if Dalvin Cook plays. But yeah, in the end, I see the Browns winning by a field goal. So that's where we're going to leave that one. I don't want to dig too much into that. So the one other thing I want to touch on before we get into the lightning round, where we just cover the rest of the games. Last night I was kind of talking about it, and it's funny because I can't even remember his name now. Zach Taylor. So I in our little chat, and I just kind of want to talk about a little bit more on the podcast. I had mentioned that Zach Taylor is probably one of the most forgettable coaches in the NFL. For everything it is, I think it's just every time we go, and the Bengals are in my division, and I have to look up Zach Taylor's name. I can picture him because for forgettable as he is, he also is one of the coaches that looks like he would be a fan of the team he coaches more than any other guy in the NFL. He just looks like a dude that pulls for Cincinnati. But other than Zach Taylor, are there any other coaches you guys can think of that just forgettable coaches that are currently active? I don't care about someone that used to coach, but just current forgettable coaches that because we can all name guys like Sean Payton, Bill Belichick, John Gruden. Who are the forgettable ones?
Coach of the Chargers. What's his name?
Well, Lindsey was the one last year. I don't know who the one this year is.
There you go.
There it is. Chargers, anyone else? You got any, Loy? So this is the last time we're going to let you eat during the podcast because you keep muting yourself.
I know. Who's coaching the Texans? Is that still Bill O'Brien? No.
No.
He got let go last year. Ooh, that is a good question. Who does coach? Let's see.
They ran him out of Houston.
David Culley. There it is. David Culley. So that's the coach of the Texans. Let's see, who's coaching the Falcons?
Oh, what's his name? Smith or something. Smith. He looks like he would be a 5th grade English teacher. I can't remember.
Arthur
It's Smith, right? Doesn't he look like that?
He looks like a gym teacher. Yeah, he looks like.
He's out of shape. He's not a gym teacher.
Well, gym teachers aren't in shape. My high school gym teacher wasn't.
Oh, mine was. He had Jerry curls the whole 9. It was another era, though.
Yeah. No, well, I take that back. I'm sorry. My middle school gym teacher was actually looked kind of like Arthur Smith here. My high school gym teacher was actually like this soccer player from Europe, but we won't go into that. So yeah, it was just funny last night. I just, Zach Taylor is one of those guys that, a couple seasons ago when basically anyone who at any point had like a beer with Sean McVay was getting hired. That's how he got his go. I mean, he's got him 3-1 right now. If they peter out, I think he's going to be done here in Cincinnati sooner or later. He's going to be the only 3-1 head coach. Like the other 2 teams we mentioned, they all suck, right? And they're all on first-year coaches. Well, the Chargers don't suck, but Yeah, Zach Taylor he's been there a couple years now, and I can't think of. Every time we go to play him, I can't think of his name. And this team's 3-1, so I still think that's pretty bad. Ready to take us into lightning round, Loy?
Yeah, Arthur Smith is the coach of the Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered that.
Okay. It's lightning round. We might as well start with the Rams and the Cardinals because I think that's a game we should have talked about.
Me too.
Uh,
Or the Seahawks and the 49ers too.
I mean, we tried to keep it to 5 games, guys.
I know, man. Otherwise, we're
So
gonna be
many
here for
good ones,
hours.
though.
It's a good week of football.
Yeah.
It is. It's a good week of football. So Rams, Cardinals. You know what? I'm going to take a little bit different approach to this one. Normally, if this was any other week, I would say the Rams. I think there's a little bit of letdown, just because they had that big win over Tampa Bay. It was a really hyped game that they won, and I think the Cardinals are good enough to take advantage of that. So I'm going to say Cardinals.
I'm taking Rams. They're not going into SoFi and winning. They could. They're not.
I'm going to take the Cardinals. Just because if there's a team that is built to keep up with what we've seen out of the Rams and also has the defense that no one's even talking about, it's the Cardinals. Right.
Yeah.
I think so. It's just, but you make a really good point, Atticus, about they're not going into SoFi. You know, can't wait for this game. Could go either way.
Mhm.
Let's go Washington Falcons.
Washington. They're just hands down the better team.
I don't know. That's a toss-up for me. I think that Washington should beat them. They should. Do the Falcons feel like they found their mojo? I don't know. I'm gonna pick Washington now.
I'm gonna go Washington. Texans Bills. Buffalo is 17-point favorites in this game.
Texans will cover, but Bill, yeah, it's not going to be close.
17-point favorites.
Yep.
I'm going Bills with minus the points. I think they're going to cover. I think they're going to shellac Houston.
Oof.
I'm gonna be the black sheep here and say that the Bills win by 24. How you thought I was gonna say something else?
I did.
I mean, go bold or go home, but yeah, I still stick to my Jesus. The Bills are negative 1,400 in this game, so that means, just so you know, Atticus, that means in order to win $100, you have to bet $1,400 on the Bills to win just to get $100. That's I don't care how bad the teams are; they're all professionals. I don't think any team should ever be favored by that much. So that's why I'll just say Texans are going to cover. But other than that, that's the only disagreement we have.
17 points.
Yeah.
Bears Lions.
I like this matchup.
I do too.
This is going to be that sneaky, entertaining game. You know what? The Lions have had a lot of bad luck. And
they're gonna win this game.
They're going to win this game. I think Mac is out. There's some players off the defense. The Bears, I guess, will be starting.
Didn't the Lions
they don't
just
know yet.
lose by like a 60-something yard field goal? Wasn't that them?
But I mean,
Yeah.
BD Nick is going to be quarterbacking, I believe.
He could be. Big
So-
Nick, man. He is against.
But he doesn't seem to play well for anyone outside of Philadelphia. So I'm just going to say the Lions. They deserve to win one. They've been in every game. I think they win this one.
Agreed.
I agree, 100%. I don't like Matt Nagy.
Me either.
Panthers at the Cowboys.
I'm gonna have to go Cowboys on this one.
You know what? I'm going to go upset pick of the week. Panthers over boys.
Can I Can I call both teams? And like, here's the reasoning why. If Zeke runs the ball for 18 plus times, Cowboys win this game. If he does not, the Panthers win the game. End of story for me.
Who do you want to win?
Oh, of course, I want the Panthers to win.
So is that your pick? Is that your pick?
Sure. Let's go with the Panthers. Colts, Dolphins.
I think if there's a game that wheelchair should win, it's this one. But I don't know. I think the Dolphins are in flux. Who are they? I think they made a big mistake with their quarterback and they know it now. He is not their future. They're going to be looking for somebody to replace him.
He's out, isn't he?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They know he's not the guy.
He's not the guy.
He's not the guy. So they're in this weird place right now. And I think the Colts are good enough to come into town and take advantage of that influx that they're experiencing and sneak a win. So I'm going to take the Colts in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I take the Colts. The Dolphins don't have the most intimidating home stadium. I don't think anyone's afraid to go to Miami and play. Yeah, Colts on a close one, but Colts nonetheless.
You really give two shits as long as Wentz plays 75% of the snaps. We're good. They should win the game. There's no reason why they're not going to. Jonathan Taylor's running the ball okay. Wentz has a couple of weapons up there. Their defense is adequate to beat Jacoby Brissett. They should be fine.
Quick question. Did you think Wentz would be not 0-3 at this point in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Me too. I thought he'd at least win a game. I really thought he'd be 2-1 at this point, but
I mean, the Colts were one of those teams that I didn't think would be out of the playoffs this year. You know, like they played pretty well with a
Phillip Rivers.
Rivers.
Yeah.
You know, so, and Rivers wasn't Rivers by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, I learned a lot. I'm learning a lot about Carson Wentz. So he's still taking hits, right? And it's just his Superman mentality that he needs to make a play and not learning like Trevor Lawrence apparently learned a little bit last night. You know, you got to throw the ball away.
Business decisions.
You got to make business decisions and you got to play for the next down.
Yeah.
So
you can learn a lot from Danny Dimes.
Yeah. Danny Dimes. Handy Danny. Titans, Jets.
Titans. If bonus recommendation, if you have Henry, go ahead and start him twice if you can.
So here's the crazy thing. Tennessee, I guess their defense is not that good, but they're only a 6-point favorite. You know,
Well,
and they're giving Buffalo 17 against Houston.
Well, I will say this: the Jets are at home, so if they were at Tennessee, you give the Titans another 3 points, so they'd be almost 10-point favorites. Is how I'm looking at it. But yeah, the Titans don't have a pass rush, so if you know,
they have a Derrick Henry though.
They have a Derrick Henry, right, and that's why they're going to win this game, no problem. But they don't have a pass rush. They didn't last year. They don't really have it this year. So I think this will be a good week for Zach to get more completions than interceptions. They're few and far between, but he'll get more completions. But yeah, Tennessee all day.
Seahawks, Niners.
I like that matchup.
It's a really good game.
That's going to be a good game.
Oof.
I am going to take I think Russell Wilson makes his comeback this week and finally he's lost some tough games. I think he's going to find his mojo. Not that he even lost it, but I think he's going to have a game. It's going to be a good one. That should have actually been one of the night games, unless the night games are better. Yeah. Why are we watching the Bucks and the Patriots? That should have been either the Rams,
Are you
Cardinals.
really asking that question?
I know. Bro, I know. Hey, do you guys familiar with that show, Schitt's Creek?
Yes.
Yeah.
Know the guy, David?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, what? Like when I see some of these games in
Yeah.
the schedule, I do a date. What? I
Yeah.
do a David. And this is one of those where why is it? I mean, 405, that's probably going to be the game of the week, the afternoon game of the week or whatever. But yeah, that should not be the 8 o'clock game, the Buccaneers and the Patriots.
No.
But I'm gonna take Russell Wilson and the Seahawks.
I like it.
Oh, go ahead.
I like it. You know, I mean, San Francisco's getting 3, so it's essentially a pick 'em. 52 for over under. That's could go either way.
Night, baby.
But I think it's just one of those weeks where Russell Wilson has one of his games that he typically has. He's going to make some nice runs on the sideline, get a couple first downs here and there. He's going to have 2 teardrop passes to Tyler Lockett, and they win the game. So, Stella, why don't you wear Steelers gear?
I like the Steelers a little, but I don't have it.
Who do you like more?
The Giants and the Knicks, but mostly the Giants.
That's unfortunate.
Well, the Knicks.
Sorry.
The Knicks.
We're a Knicks household.
Well, they don't have a team in Pittsburgh, so
They don't.
yeah.
That was an easy one.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go the other way on this. I said it before the season. There's just something about Seattle this year. They just have this funk about them. They just seem to have a lot of offseason drama for no reason whatsoever. They still don't really have a defense. I think San Francisco's gonna be able to run the ball on them. I think Garoppolo's gonna be able to do just enough in the passing game. I think Debo has a big game, and I think it all adds up to just enough to win. And since it's -2.5, I'm going to say they cover 2.
Okay. We got to start getting a screenshot of who we pick.
I know.
Any graphic designers out there that know how to do that kind of shit production wise, let us know.
Live as we do it, because this is the first time I'm looking over the schedule too. So it's not like we pre-planned these. Like,
Yeah, we don't pre-plan this at all. You gotta come
Be on your game.
correct.
Free flowing conversation.
Ravens Broncos. And who would have thought this game would be interesting at the start of the season? We're gonna find out just who the Broncos are. It is in Mile High. They're playing good football, man. Teddy Bridgewater's not a bad quarterback, you know, and that's been Denver's struggle even in Peyton's last season, right? Like that was still their struggle, and they haven't really found anything substantial until now. And it's Teddy Bridgewater. Who would have thunk that? You know, I like Denver in this game. You know, I think they had the defense put the clamps on the Ravens. You know, and I think they win.
I think that Denver's success is a little bit of an illusion because not one of the teams that they beat has a single win. So they're 3-0 against 0-9 teams. I think that the Ravens are more battle tested and have more upside to their ability to put more points on the board and shut them down. So I'm going Ravens.
So the interesting thing about this game is the line is literally -0.5 for the Broncos. So I don't know what's the point in not calling it a push if that's what you're going to say. Other than say that, yeah, I guess they think the Broncos are a little bit better. But yeah, I see
But
the
they're
Ravens.
not.
I see the Ravens winning. Well, just like the same argument I use with the Browns all the time. They have a run-based offense that travels. The one bonus prediction I'm going to make is that Lamar Jackson will do another flip and injure his other hip, making them that much more vulnerable when they play the Browns. But Ravens win.
More wishful thinking than anything.
I think Lamar's going to have a tough time in the Mile High City because it's a Mile High. It's different air up there, man. Just saying.
Now, does Chris want to sleep on the sofa or not? That's going to be determined.
Here we go. Here we go. Steelers, Packers.
Oh, Packers all day. It's at home. Steelers have yet to show anything resembling an offense.
Liesel's close by.
No, I mean, she's in another room. I don't know if she can hear me or
hear.
not, but I'll talk louder. The Packers are going to crush the Steelers. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I think there was a stat today. The Steelers have yet to eclipse 55 yards rushing in a game.
Really?
I just gotta
Talk about an incentive-based pick. A personal incentive-based pick.
She loves me.
Beat a division foe and big up your girl's team and say it loud.
I mean,
ulterior motives going on here.
Here's the one thing I'm going to say. Here's the one thing I will say. I actually, and don't let Kelly hear this. I don't hate the Steelers like I used to. And here's why. Now, part of this is on the Browns but both teams have never been good at the same time, really. Right. So
hold on. Right. Someone gave me a ration of shit for saying some nice things about the Cowboys on this very podcast. And now that someone is doing the same fucking thing with the Steelers.
Okay, first of all, I'm not giving the Steelers props. They're a horrible team in their cities. Their downtown's okay. But that being said, I don't hate this. If I hate a team in the AFC North, it's the Ravens because they're the former Browns and they're also good. The thing about the rivalry with the Steelers, it's a rivalry just because it's always been a rivalry, but neither team has been good at the same time. So it's not like you can go back and look over the last 20 years and be like, oh, that was a classic matchup. And honestly, most of the time they're crushing the Browns. But this year, I fully expect to beat them. They have anemic offense. They have a decent, they have a defense as long as Watt's healthy. They have a good defense. But it's just, it's just funny. I was thinking about it today. I don't hate the Steelers. I don't like the Steelers. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm not lavishing praise on them. I just don't. If I had to pick an arch rival in the North, I'd say it would be the Ravens just because they're the former Browns and they're good. So it's just more of it now over the next, if the Steelers, so I have heard a rumor. The one rumor I'm going to talk about this game is there's been a rumor linking Rodgers to Pittsburgh. That is the rumor I have heard. Andy's dog came down here and told me about it.
Not during this season, though.
What?
Not during this season.
No, after when Rodgers is a free agent next year. If that happens and the Steelers, because and the logic is there that kind of like the Buccaneers for Brady. It's they have a fairly talented offense. They just need to invest in the line, and they need a quarterback that can get the ball to receivers down the field. You put Rodgers on that game, we'll see how much I hate the Steelers on that team. We'll see how much I hate the Steelers next year. That being said, Green Bay wins this. They're 6.5-point favorites. I don't even think it's going to be that close. I think the defense for the Packers finally showed up a little bit this past week, and I think it's going to continue. Pittsburgh's got no chance. I've said my piece.
I agree.
You're being awfully quiet about that, Atticus.
No, I agree.
You don't want
I
to say
think
it
the
out loud,
Packers
real
are gonna
loud.
win this week.
You don't want to say it real loud?
No, listen, I have no issue with that. I just think that there are more issues with the Steelers that can be fixed by Sunday at 4:25. I just don't think they're gonna win this game.
I think the Packers win outright. It might be an under, though.
Under 45.5.
Yeah.
So I don't think but again, like I've said about other teams, I think it's going to be more because we'll see Pittsburgh scoring a whole lot. So, I mean, you figure if it's like a 30-14 game, that's an under, and I can totally see that happening. So, well, that's another week, gentlemen. We did it. Got through it. A little bit interesting this week is Lloyd kept muting himself to eat chicken wings, but you know what? We're adapting.
So, I'm not a fan
impressive.
of smoked chicken wings because I ordered the smoked because I thought it would be a different twist because I didn't get any hot sauce on them. Not a good choice.
I'm not a fan of dry rub. They got to be wet. That's the way it's gonna be.
Not a good. Oh, I have no sauce on them at all. They're naked, but they're smoked, so it's smoked chicken.
What I was impressed with the fact that Loy was able to eat chicken wings throughout the entire podcast. The entire podcast. That was
Right.
impressive.
That's
He
right.
doesn't even have anything on his beard or anything.
Nothing. Nothing.
Well, he did say they didn't have sauce on them, so it's not like he had to like.
I was dipping in ranch though.
Oh yeah.
Like a boss.
You know, I can eat some wings, man. I mean, if
Best,
there's-
best wing shop, best wing place. Like if Lloyd, if we were to come visit you, what wing place you take us to?
mine. I'm making wings for you.
Okay.
My man.
Fair.
that's
Alright.
all there. That's all there is to it. I mean, there's it.
Loy puts out spreads that you would see at golf courses. That's how he does it, just
I mean-
for an afternoon at Mike's.
Be careful, guys. We're treading dangerously toward enough motivation for you just to show up at Mike's door next week. So let's.
And it will be worth it.
It would be worth it.
What about you, Atticus? We go. I come visit you again. Where do we go for wings?
For wings, probably Wingstop. I like Wingstop.
I like Wingstop. It's like fast. Wingstop is my preferred chain wing. Out of all the places out there. If you guys come to Orlando, there's this little Irish pub kind of by Disney called Kitty O'Shea's. Beautiful. They're one of the last places that does those. It's like $35 during the Super Bowl. You just pay a flat $35. You reserve a seat, and it's just all you can eat. And they just wings.
Oh, wow. That's
It's-
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of their wings. That's where I'll take you guys. I don't know how to smoke wings, so I'm not even gonna pretend I could. But at least
I will not smoke wings for you. I will cook them on the green egg, but they won't be smoked.
I like it. All right, guys, we're gonna end it there. I think I got some Chinese waiting for me in the other room. It's
All
time to
right.
turn. So catch you guys on Tuesday. Enjoy the
All right,
weekend.
guys. It's been
Yes,
real.
sir. Have a
Enjoy
good
the
weekend.
games.